I'm standing here in the Stitch Like an Egyptian exhibit. All of these pieces are what we call applique art. They technically are not a quilt because they don't take stitches all the way through. They're built by starting on a canvas back. And in Egypt, they made these kinds of pieces that would be very large to make a tent. The outside would be canvas, the inside would be pretty applique. So what they do then is they put down a base layer. They then chalk their whole design on that background, and then they do multiple layers of applique. So you can see here where this one goes over the top of that one, okay? And so they do it so that it's all intertwined, and that's a design that they call Romi, and it's a traditional design in Egypt, and it's used in a lot of different artwork, in architecture.
This is painted applique, and what painted applique is, instead of appliquing many pieces of fabric together, this is painting one big applique unit, and the unit would look something like this. And it's made with a water-soluble stabilizer, and we applique the one big painted unit down. And why it's so much fun is you can do a lot of things with these little units. I mean, you can braid fabric, and you can stick their feet inside and perch them. I color right here with different kinds of textile mediums and paints, and inside the book I talk about all kinds of different textile paints to use, and these are ink pencils, ink blocks.
In the classroom today, my quilt's called Did You Wash Your Beak? The original title was called Feed Me, because that little boy was hungry and his mom came home with some worms. And so she stopped him because she said, excuse me, young man, did you wash your beak, and why is your little brother out of the nest? But it's all hand applique, and then I do machine quilting on top of that. And my applique process is actually very simple to me because I only draw my patterns with smooth curves. So I don't do points, and I don't clip curves, smooth curves, like I'm petting the bird. I'm petting the mother bird, petting the little baby bird. So all the pieces to me have to go in the direction that things grow, or the way that they move, or the way that they feel.
This is called a New York Beauty quilt, and that is because this resembles a crown of thorns, which is the New York Beauty, the crown on the Statue of Liberty. Inspiration for me with making New York Beauty blocks comes from where I was born, which is Staten Island, New York. And I've always had a fascination with the curved piecing part of creating the quilt blocks. Okay, my first book with the American Quilter Society is called New York Beauty Simplified. And it shows how you can take one particular quilt block, change the fabric, and change the orientation or the layout of the quilt blocks. And it changes the entire flavor of your quilt.
And we had remodeled our shop, and we had this window that looked out onto into installation, and so I had painted actually this on the window, and so I thought, well, that'd be a really cool quilt. So then I just designed it around some art that I'd already done, and so I did it with my mom, and because she also works at the shop, so I designed it and I helped cut it out, and she pieced it and we quilted it. And like the star blocks, I always really like those, and I like it kind of like a starry night kind of thing with doing big and the little. And I love snowmen. People love snowmen. And so it's always an easy thing to work with snowmen.